Hi everyone, this is Gail from Gelli Makes. I hope you're all doing well. So today I'm carrying on with my STAZON experiments and I'm going to be using a new colour which is rusty brown. Last time I used black, but this time I want to go for a more sort of like vintage feel, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so I start by adding a layer of the STAZON ink and I'm just trying to get a nice even layer just by patting it down onto the plate. I do use a brayer in a minute, but I don't like the way it seems to take the ink off, so this is my preferred method. I'll just advise as well that when you're using the STAZON ink, it's a solvent ink, so it can be a bit pungent, so I advise having a very well ventilated area whilst doing this. So here I am just using the brayer, but I felt like it was taking too much of the ink off, so I just went back in and added a little bit more ink over the top, and that's my preferred method really when using the STAZON. So now I'm just going to let that dry for about 10 minutes. And now I'm picking out my image. So this is one of my own images. It was actually printed on acetate when I got the photocopy done of it. So I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we'll give it a go. So I'm going to basically use Titan Buff Light by Amsterdam, which is one of my go-to replacements for white, basically. So once the STAZON is dry, you can add a layer of acrylic paint and then we can go straight in with the image to do the image transfer. We'll lay this on. We can kind of roughly see through it where we can cut it off a little bit. So let's go for there. And because it's my own image, I'm just going to give it a bit of a rub and then check on it by pulling away the corner. It's quite different using a magazine transfer to a photocopy that you've done yourself, so you just have to sort of experiment a bit and judge it for yourself really. But I'm quite happy with where it's at now, so I'm just going to pull that away. And looking at this, I think this should make a really nice final print. So what I'm going to do is just let that dry for a few minutes, and then I'm going to pull it with a layer of matte medium because that will be a clear pull, so we'll just have that nice rusty brown. This was the Manac Theatre that I went to in Cornwall when I was a lot younger than I am now. And I just thought it's such a beautiful place. So I'm brayering out that matte medium, trying to get a nice even layer there and hoping that it pulls okay. I'm always a little bit anxious with matte medium because I'm just more experienced at pulling with acrylic, so it's always a bit nerve-wracking. I think the fact that you've got no colour there, which it's a bit of a funny one, but what I'll do is make sure I add some weight to the actual image transfer after I put the paper on, just to. And the card that I'm using here is Lavinia Stamps watercolour card, which is about 300 GSM, and it's a hot press watercolour card, so it's got a quite smooth surface. I've just put the smoothest side down as well, and then I'm just going to brayer it out. And like I say, put some heavy books on top for a few minutes, let it dry before I do the final pull. And that's kind of what it looks like when it's pulled it. Quite interesting, isn't it, how it pulls and what it leaves behind with the STAZON. Yeah, quite interesting. Okay, so just removing the books. I've had this drying for a few minutes as well, so I think it should be ready. But I'm just going to check one of the corners just to be sure. So obviously you can peel the card off the plate, or you can turn the plate over and actually peel the plate away. This has been drying for quite a while and it looks like it's going to come off fairly easily, so I'm just happy to do the peel of the card there. So it's looking good. I'm pleased with this one so far. I'll do a bit of work to embellish it though, so I'll come back to you on that. Okay, so currently I'm working on trying to salvage this print a little bit more. I do really like the image, I just don't feel like it was quite highlighted properly. So what I've been doing is trying to give you the line of the coastline there, well, the line of the landscape on the coastline there. So I've kind of gone in with a white gel pen, a hybrid gel grip Pentel, actually, this one, 1.0mm medium ball. Yeah, so it's Pentel, but this one I find is really good because it actually goes over the top of quite a few different mediums, so it's handling the ink and the acrylic paint there quite well. I've gone in with a pen already on areas like this. You can probably see the white pen has sort of defined these sort of areas a little bit more and brought out those little windows there. But yeah, I'm interested to see how much the Neo colour can sort of hide these really sort of darker bits in the sky, because obviously that is just where it's not pulled so well. So let's use, I've got a Roman Schmal there, synthetic squirrel round. I don't like buying brushes generally that I know have been actual animal hair used, so I know a lot are, but if I can avoid it I will. So obviously that is I tend to apply it, but it tends to apply better when it's wet already. So if I can just take out some of those darker areas, all the good. But I think, I'll be honest, I think we're going to probably have to do that more with the Pan Pastels. But you can see that landscape line is coming out a bit more now. I wish I cleaned up the plate before I pulled, because that bit I knew would be a problem. Just make sure it's fairly dry. Okay, I don't really think the Neo colour is going to do much, I'll be honest. So what I'm going to do is probably take in a bit of white first, the white Pan Pastel. And I've used these directly on the plate before, and they work well on the plate. So that's another way you can do it. But yeah, there we go. Look, we've got that instant sort of covering. So Pan Pastels are a good option, either for going in afterwards on your actual picture you've pulled or print you've pulled, and also for going in on the plate as well. So for me it was a bit tricky because I printed from this acetate, which is something I've had for a long time. Something, college days I was using a lot of acetates for my work, so I've actually printed it, well, photocopied from this. So I'm trying to use that as a bit of a reference. For example, there's a line down here that's just sort of from the photocopy machine. So, you know, trying to get rid of bits like that I know, you know, and weren't there on the day, basically. So the good thing about the Pan Pastel is it's taken out some of that darkness of the acrylic, but it's also given me a bit of translucency so that I can still get some colour coming through it, so it doesn't look like completely harsh white, you know, and make it just look like there's a white sky, or, you know, there might be a bit of that rusty brown shown through, so it looks a little bit like cloud formations, things like that. Okay, so yeah, that's looking a little bit better. Now I'm just wondering whether to go that stage further and give the sky a bit of colour. It's hard to know. I quite like it, this one shade, but how is it going to look if I do add colour? So, I mean, it's a pretty clear day by the look of it. You can see some details of the sea, but not really much of the sky. So, a tricky one. It's a tricky one. It's always sort of knowing how far to push these things. Obviously, it's going to be this blue I would use. So let's just see. Let's just give it a go and see what happens. The good thing is we can kind of always pull some of it back if we need to. Quick look, close up. What do we think? I always find it difficult until I can actually, say, photograph something and see what it says to me in the photograph, really. I'm going to try and add some more white, just so it looks like we've got some more whitish clouds there. Okay. The yellow could possibly come in as if the sun is shining, maybe, so we could have a little bit of yellow. Good thing about these applicators is you've got 4 in one there, basically. Maybe a bit of yellow, sort of on the sea, possibly, like that. Obviously I haven't got a sun source in the sky, but I could bring a bit of Maybe a bit of yellow in here. Oh, quite like that actually. If you can see that where I'm at in the picture. Quite liking the yellowish tone of the sky there. So maybe we'll just bring a little bit more in along here. So as we've got a bit of the blue in the sky, I think I'm going to go and get a bit of blue in the sea as well. Okay, maybe bring in this one in, which is a turquoise shade. Maybe this could work well in the slightly darker areas. Not sure what's going on with that bit there. Okay, it's just lost a lot of the detail there. So this really is more blue. So I can maybe get a bit of white on there and extend that down. That's pretty much sea look to here. So, but I feel like that might confuse now because let's try it. Let's bring it down a bit. Nice, because it shows us how close that theatre is to the water. There we go, sort of down there. And I think what I'll do is give it sort of that turquoise tone again, just to match it up a little bit. Hopefully this will help define it a bit more. I think we will probably need to define these wall edges a bit better if we really want to show that, maybe. And then have these sort of rock edges showing a bit more as well. That may have helped, hopefully. Okay, so this is the acetate that I used to get a photocopy from. Either I would have taken this or my dad would have taken it, I can't remember, but I'm sure my dad will give me permission if he did take this photo to use it. So, yeah, it's obviously, like I say, because it's an acetate, the nature of it is it's got a few photocopy marks, which then translated onto the final picture, which is obviously why I had to go in and white some areas out a little bit. But I think it's turned out pretty well. So do let me know if you will have a go at using different colour STAZON. And what I've done is I'll just flash up a picture of it now. I've actually kind of done a photo of this in Snapseed with greetings from Minak Theatre written at the bottom, because it very much reminded me of like an old vintage postcard. So I'm really pleased with that, and I just thought I'd pop that up there to show you guys sort of how you can add little extra details to things after you've finished your work, just to up it a level. So yeah, if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you're interested in my tutorials, there's a gel plate playlist, but also I'm doing a new video every fortnight. So if you want to hit the bell and all notifications and get subscribed, it's entirely free, and then you'll just be informed whenever I've got a new video coming out. So let's hope it's a good week for us all crafting, and do drop me a comment below. I like having a chat with people. Might be able to help some of you out if you're struggling with image transfer. I've done quite a lot over the years. It obviously, you can see from this video, it doesn't always work out perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't work out at all, but there are ways of pulling things back, as I've done today with the highlights and adding the tint to the Pan Pastel. Okay, right, I've babbled on far too long now, so I'll say goodbye, and I'll say have a great week crafting, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.